So this is kind of a thing. This is the first time that all four of us
have sat in a room together in
a long time. And the first time that we've ever done it on a podcast. So, Matt, Jeff, thanks for doing the NC Pod of Awesomeness.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Of course, yes. I'm very, very excited for this Pod of Awesomeness.
I see Woken Matt has come to visit us initially.
Of course, yes. I don't sleep. I merely dream.
How's the compound after the big war?
I have Senior Benjamin preparing the compound for restoration. It was destroyed quite heavily, but he will certainly get it back in top-notch working order.
Well, you did pummel a quite husky vessel through the compound.
The Huskies. What is so funny?
Nothing.
Gotta let it out. You can't hold it in.
I understand, I know you are, but I am speaking the dialect of the future. Yes, this is how the lexicon will be in the year 3000 AD.
I agree. I don't know for sure, but I agree. I am crying though.
Yeah.
So we're here at WrestleMania, and we kind of all created some history at WrestleMania.
Yeah. That's what kind of seemed like it would be the right time to do this. I mean, we've obviously had tons of requests to have you guys on, and we wanted to have you on. And yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We talked about it earlier. It's like it's like no matter how much time goes by, if we don't see each other for a long period of time, if we don't talk for a long period of time, there's always going to be a bond between all of us.
Man, he's getting.
No, it's deep already, man. It's deep. But like I'm not.
He's taking it somewhere else. Wow.
But I mean, and it's like whenever we see each other again or talk again, and it's been a long time, we just pick up where we left off and talk like we had talked the previous day. But I just think that none of our careers would have ended up the way they were if it wasn't for each other and how important we all were to each other's career. And I just think that that's a pretty special thing, and it's always great to sit down with you guys.
Yeah, I saw you last night. It's like I was seeing a ghost, like we were both ghosts. And he was like, so could you send me that painting? And it said Ruby, and now you have a daughter, Ruby, as well. And then I sent you a painting, not rated R, something like Einstein, Edstein. I think I called it.
Yeah,
I hope it's in your home. And
still got
there's
it.
A little bit of energy beyond you within me. But yeah, you're right, man, dude. Time can fly by, and then we see each other, and it's like, hey, it's my brothers right here.
Are you sure the painting didn't say it was for the superstar that is rated R?
I'm sure it did. Yeah, invisible. It's invisible.
Yeah, that invisible link.
Yeah.
But it really, and we've often talked about it, how when you share something like we did in terms of whether it's the tag team ladder match, whether it's all of the singles matches, whether it's the best of 7 series, whether it's TLC 1, TLC, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we can go back and look at. But once you are involved in something like that together, something that people still talk about 20 years later and still come up and go, I can't believe you guys did that. I don't know, it forms a special bond that you just, there's no way to really talk
something
about it.
That when the kids that weren't even born yet are coming up and talking to you about, which means that their parents are still showing them these matches that we put on, and it left an ingrained an impression in their minds of how special these matches were. They want to share it with their kids. That's to me a pretty huge thing too.
It is.
It really does. Those sometimes these powerful WrestleMania moments like suppress my condition, and I feel normal, but I do. I hear from fans all the time, like the first ever tag team ladder match you guys had, and that triple threat ladder match at WrestleMania, and then the TLC matches. Like, they're the greatest matches of all time. I mean, I know you guys hear it as well. I mean, you hear it nonstop, and they were just such spectacles and such different, amazing things, and like we were just like blazing such a trail at that time, and we had no idea how much power we were creating, because it did become like a staple, its own match, and like a pay-per-view and whatnot. So it's really cool to look back and super humbling and flattering.
Yeah, I often quote something that you said to me a long time ago, and you said, and I still use it to this day, it took us from being WWE wrestlers to WWE superstars. Like, that was the moment that solidified us as that. But even going back further than that, like I remember, seeing you guys work as extras on on WWE TV, and I remember the time
And those
Jeff
daisy tights.
Yeah, and the tartan tights, and I remember one time Jeff slipped off the ropes, and I had heard you guys had gotten signed. I was like, oh, good for him. Yeah, he's got signed. I didn't get signed. Glad he fell off the ropes. And
Springboard.
What a dick.
but it was funny. No, I'm joking. But then it was like when I
He's not joking.
when I first we stayed at that hotel in Stamford for that week, and you guys walked in, and I think I was eating in the restaurant, and you guys came up and introduced yourselves, and we just started laughing, and we just hit it off from the get-go. And I think every night since then, since that time, I went down to your room, and we just sat up all night and talked about wrestling. We talked about life. We just laughed, and and next thing you know, it's like, oh, we have to be up in an hour to go train all day, and we've been up the entire night just becoming friends, and it was a special time with that too, that we got to experience that together, and then basically move up on the same day to the main roster together too. And we traveled together too. And we used to go to do the Killer Kowalski spot shows at the end of the training camps, and we'd play music in the van. Who was the guy that always didn't know the song, so he'd want to change it? He was doing the teacher gimmick.
Beavis or Butthead.
No, he looked like Butthead, like the real life version.
We dubbed him Butthead. Remember?
He was very mathematical.
Yeah,
I think.
Let's get to the root of your problem.
That was it.
Yeah.
Just solve the equation.
Yeah.
He's working a mathematical gimmick.
Anyways, but but we were doing those, and we got called up together at the same time, and then we were kind of on our way from there.
You mentioned his springboard, and I could never forget that spot show we did, where we had a match, and it was myself and Jeff versus you, and
We just got the call that
somebody.
they just told
got
us
the
that
call.
we were coming up.
We
Yeah.
just heard we were going to start TV, and we're going to do this little spot show, this little indie show with a couple hundred people there, end of our developmental run, and we're putting the match together. Me and him, a little more like-minded. We're okay. We'll do this. Jeff's like, well, I think when you guys go out of the ring, then maybe I'll like blast you and do like off the top a springboard moonsault to the floor. And I remember just his face, he looked so uncomfortable. And you could see in his head, like, he's churning. His wheels are turning, like, what can I say to, like, talk this son of a bitch out of it? And he's going, well, you know what, Jeff, I was just thinking about it. We just got the call to go to TV, and I'm really afraid you might get hurt. Jeff said, no, I'll be fine. I'm not going to get hurt. He said, I'm worried I'm going to get hurt.
I was just like, all right, yeah, it's okay. We'll do it.
Spot me, mate.
That's when you were I was teaming with Meat that night.
Head.
I don't know where I'd be like right now if it wasn't for Dory Funk showing me how to throw a forearm.
When he split me wide open.
How the artistic beauty behind pro wrestling, like here's how you do it. Blood was everywhere. Oh my God.
But the one where Dory catches you, which is funny, it's like, guys, it's an art form.
It's a work.
It's a work. It's easy. He said, all you do, you lay it in, you make it look great. See, Christian, word. And you were like 2 feet in front of him, 24 inches. And then,
It's not a good sign for the forearm to come.
right. He says, look, this is all you're going to do. And he blasts him with the forearm. Like he wobbles, he gets the wobbly knees, And
Turns around to address the class.
Turns around, and he goes, he claps his hands. There you have it.
There you go.
And then he looks back. There's a bloodbath on his face.
That's when he goes, okay, that one was a little stiff. But you get the idea.
One I'll never remember or never forget is we were in San Antonio, Texas, the old Sam Houston Coliseum, and we were just starting to get, the opening matches on house shows, and it would switch certain nights. It would either be me and Gangrel or me and Jay. And one night I remember it was me and Gangrel teaming, and you guys, I'll never forget it because Matt threw a whacker.
Oh, yeah.
And it caught Dave. Like, I heard it. And Dave, when he'd get caught, exactly. You guys couldn't see that face, but what he would do is he would smile and his eyes would bug out and he'd kind of, and I just remember thinking, oh man, it was so funny though to see that reaction. But the chemistry was just, I don't know, it was instantly there.
Yeah.
And we had talked about, because we had JR on, and how it started to make the reports. And remember, we'd get those newsletters where they just talk about some of the business news and everything, and then in there 1 month it said heard that the Hardys and Edge and Christian or the Brood, I guess at that point, are doing some great things on the house shows. And I think pretty much everyone and the audience at that point kind of felt that something was happening,
And JR hit us up with his bonuses too.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was a nice little touch.
Which was nice for starving artists.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, but I mean, just remember those days. It was just, we were working every night. We were eating together. We weren't. Sometimes we traveled together too. We'd all be in the same car. There was this like, it's weird that to me, and I often look around the locker room and I look at people and just like, man, everybody just came up differently. They have different way they grew up, different places they grew up. Some people different countries. Like we grew up obviously in a different country than you guys did, but we all got here somehow. Like it was all our dream to get here somehow. We got here, and it's funny because like whenever I talked to you guys, it was like I saw you guys and us, and I felt it was the same way around. Like we did the same stuff that you guys did. Like we didn't have the trampoline, but we wrestled in my living room in my house. We draw up cards and we do all these things, and
I think if you guys were in Canada, it would have been what we did, and if we were in North Carolina, it would have been what you guys did. It was just the geography was different.
And it was weird that we had this that bond from that, but we had totally different upbringings, but somehow had this. I don't know. I'm looking for the right word, but I'm getting deep again, guys.
Look at him, man. Look at him, man.
My condition is worsening.
Maybe it's just a coincidence.
I mean, I think the biggest thing when you look back in Common, I mean, you have 4 guys who were legitimately huge fans of the business growing up, and like kind of looked at like wrestlers like, oh, they're living, breathing superheroes. That's what I want to do, and very passionate, and athletic, and pretty driven to do whatever they want to do, and we all got there, and I think that's why we bonded, because we all had that that same fire inside that really people won't stick around here for a long time if you're not passionate about this gig, especially here on this level, because like they just work you to death, like it's tough. It's not easy at all, and it's hard on your body and hard on your schedule and whatnot. But yeah, it was great because, like you said, it was just having guys that were so like-minded and such the same page.
And we were kids too, right? We didn't want to be home.
Yeah,
we wanted to be in the ring. We wanted to be, we wanted to live the life.
You can't manufacture passion.
Yeah,
no.
You just can't. It's either you have it for doing this or you don't. And I think we'd all agree where it really started to jump off. At least on a scale where people outside of like the locker room and house shows was when we were able to start doing the best of 7 series.
Yeah,
and kind of approaching everybody with that idea and. Just doing some different stuff. I mean, there was the SummerSlams, the gauntlet matches, and you'd run the rails, and I'd run the rails, and we'd spear, and there was a lot of stuff that we were doing, but I think that was really the first true showcase of where it could go. You guys
because
agree?
we were kind of floating between wrestling, sometimes on Raw, sometimes on Heat, all the time on live events and things like that, and I agree with that. I mean,
Why don't you let our guests answer?
That was an insane spot. That
was
running,
very mean.
just like that. Oh, now twist of fate, man. But like running the rails and meeting them with otherworldly, it's insane. We were in the funking dojo, and you and Val Venus, I remember, like had already kind of
moved up,
evolved, moved up, and it was so weird, man. Because I remember thinking then, okay, I want to be like that guy. I want to be like him. We're gonna make it. But yeah, to see what we've done now is just insane, especially those spots. I did a spot with Steve Blackman one time with that run the curve spot. Jump off the stairs.
Curve.
Yeah, run the curve. RTC. Off the stairs, on the curve, run back. Steve jumps up, back drops me off the curve.
Yeah.
Insane, man.
Isn't there is a Steve Blackman story where didn't he worship something like he completely moved on something, and you said
he worshipped my moonsault.
No, he said it to me first though. He worshipped. I can't remember what it was, and you're like, he worshipped your thing, and I was so mad, and you're laughing, you're doing that cry laugh with the high pitch. He worshipped your. I can't remember what it was. The very next week, I'm watching a match, and you moved something, he wasn't there, and I can see you guys, you're like, oh, you get this look on your face, and then you come back, and you're like crazy. I said, hey Matt, he worshipped your moonsault, and you went, and he just walked away. You were so mad, it was the best. But
it's not like it was a big spot or anything. It was only the finish.
Because he moved, and went. like this.
I was I was up to do a moonsault body block, and I jumped back, and he's like starting to stand up, and then all of a sudden he was like, "Oh shit!" And he like takes a knee, and I'm right beside him. And I remember he's over here, he's over here like Buddha, taking a knee, worshiping my moonsault.
Yeah.
And he comes up, "Oh, I'm so sorry, brother, so sorry. Small package."
That's funny.
Yeah, and you did it, man. Yeah. He got us both. He worships us
He
both.
worshipped us. The thing is, going back to the Best of 7 series, and we've talked about it before on here, that was kind of the first time we actually talked with Vince about storyline stuff. Like, we pitched the idea to creative to do this, and we thought that it was going to be the kind of the springboard, or we were hoping it would be, to get us kind of noticed and be on Raw and on the pay-per-views at pretty much every week and every month. That was what we wanted to do. We didn't want to be floating, we don't have them to throw them on Heat. We wanted to be like, no, we need these guys on Raw because they're an important part of this show. And that was the vehicle we thought would get us there, right?
Yeah, and I remember just when they had the confidence in us to give us that ladder match and have the opportunity to do it, like, I thought that was special, and we had a real opportunity to shine and do something like, take things from another level that, like, Sean and Scott Hall and those guys that had done stuff prior. So that was real special. And you were stranded, right? Whenever we had like a rehearsal.
Yeah, we did. We remember we said because a tag ladder match had never been done, so we all said we're in agreement. We should go to Stamford a couple days beforehand, and we should just kind of walk through this and just get a feel for how many ladders are going to be in this ring and how many bodies. Like, we don't know what we're doing here, so we need to figure it out. And we all made it, but yeah, Adam was.
Yeah, I decided at that point in life that living in the Bahamas was somehow a good idea. When I was traveling 300 days a year, I thought, why not? Yeah, let's just add to it. Got stuck in Miami because a hurricane came. So I got stuck in this hurricane, and the city's flooding. All the flights are canceled. And I know you guys are up there working on it and everything. I'm like, man, I want to be involved in like this process. So I just started coming up with ideas. I rented a car. I drove to Tampa through the hurricane, got to Tampa ahead of it, and then hopped on the flight from Tampa, got up to Cleveland. I think I finally got to you guys when you're all in the hallway.
Yeah, the hallway.
It was four. I think it was 4 when I finally got there. Yeah. And you guys have been together for like 3 days going over stuff. Yeah. And I was like trying to play catch up and like, hey, I got an idea too.
And then when we were going over it, I was like, listen, okay, this is a good opportunity for me to really showcase my stuff because we can cut Edge out of all the cool shit.
Everything.
So
we don't need them.
Yeah.
Christian's the guy in this one.
Yeah.
It's going to be Christian and Edge after tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jay's brought up the point before is that we had to come up with a bunch of finishes.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was one with us winning, one with you guys winning, and one with me turning on Edge and costing us the match. Yes. So we didn't know till a few hours beforehand what they were actually going to go with, and I think it was the right call.
Yeah,
yeah. At that
I
point
mean, it all
in time.
played out pretty good.
Yeah, it all did. Yeah.
Yeah, and because obviously, I think that I know I would have been dead in the water at that point if we had to split because I wasn't ready yet, and to go on my own, especially with that. The amount of talent that was in WWE at the time, I don't think that my career would have quite turned out the same way. But I think to me, and that finish, I'm not to get too far ahead before we talk about it, but that lasting image of Jeff falling after grabbing the Sacco money, that's still replayed to this day. And think about how many years it was. I mean, it was definitely the right call, especially with where we were about to go, and we didn't even realize at that time it was kind of setting the table for us to turn heel.
Yeah. No, it was certainly the catalyst for a respect and friendship, which was going to slowly drift you guys away into being heels, which was the perfect spot for you at that time, especially considering your personalities and kind of where you were there. I mean, you were ahead of us in that capacity for sure, So it worked out great, and like it couldn't have been more perfect. The Dudleys were inserted into the mix, and.
Well, even just the ladder match itself and the elements, like you said, Sean and Razor, and how that influenced all of us.
Yes.
And then to have a blank canvas and go, okay, this has never been done before, and you have 4 guys of similar mindset, and then you add in aspects that you almost forget about. That camera above the ring had never been done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I remember Kevin Dunn telling us that was going to be there. And then seeing it back and going, oh, my God, that is crazy. It made it look because it is, but it really gave everyone an idea of what exactly we were doing to our bodies, how far we were falling. And to your point, that final shot, Jeff's the only guy that's taken that bump that way.
And Jeff is the only guy who would take that bump.
Yeah.
that way.
Exactly. But that visual of him falling and continuing to fall, and I mean, it's just
It was very adrenaline like fueled just from the fans, you know, because like I didn't lose my balance. It was so obvious and fake that I'm gonna like put an exclamation on this match, you know.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah, I just remember the nerves going into it, like, because we had to go through the crowd, right, and they took us up the match before for the Good Housekeeping match or whatever it was that was on before us, and we had to sit in the back of like a concession stand, and you know we had one security guard with us that was giving us our cues, and I just remember like I was excited, I was nervous, but in a good way, like I knew like something big was about to happen, you know, and this was our shot, and it was funny when we finally got down there, looking at you guys face to face. We're finally all in there. You know, you can kind of even tell that we're all like kind of, you know, ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
And the first spot,
ropes.
man falls through the ropes.
The
I was
ropes.
like, oh, Jimmy, here we go. Jimmy fell through the ropes.
Oh, Jimmy legs.
Of course, Jeff being the more athletic of the two of us, hits the ropes first, a millisecond ahead of me. And that Jimmy it right on in. You know, that may have been the first time that I realized I became broken. Excuse me, everyone. I'm sorry you had to listen to that obsolete mule for a while.
He's back. Just the memory of his face hitting the ropes.
I feel very sorry for all of you individuals in that match. You all seek men. Terrible spot monkey addictions. All of these falls off ladders. Ladders are not used to climb up and jump off of. No, you strike them. Use them as an opponent. I mean, there was one time I was in a vassal in South Africa. I was the leader of a tribe. We did not jump off trees and swing off vines. We, you know, fist and kicks and maybe a spear at the most. You know, hand-to-hand combat. That is what these people need to get back to now. Brother Nero, you are very, 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 very sick one.
Very.
This is the first time I've met Woken Matt officially, and it's
I think I like him.
I do. It's unsettling at times, but I do enjoy his company so far.
And his wisdom.
Of course, yes, it is woken wisdom. Oh my, there's a documentarian that has just entered the room. He is a documentarian. Because these events must be documented.
So with the ladder match, I remember when I first knew something was happening was the drop kick spot in the corner.
That's so crazy you said that.
And it was the first moment where I went, oh, wow.
Yeah.
None of us have ever gotten that reaction
energy,
before,
dude.
and
Yeah.
that energy from an audience. And you could just feel it kind of,
Yeah.
that was the beginning, and the groundswell was happening, and and then it just...
Yeah, where do we go from here?
Yeah, that was Jeff and I. You and I were kind of like tug of war over the ladder,
It was so
and I finally
simple.
drove you back into the corner, and that first, you know,
That was your idea, too,
Shot,
right?
yeah, got
Jump
a
off.
reaction, and then in my mind, I was going to step off the ladder, hit you with a sweet drop kick, and just float over and land on the canvas. I'm not as athletic as I think I am in my mind. So when I hit it, I went up, hit the drop kick, and dropped like a stone and landed on the ladder. But the sound of that set the tone. Like I've never heard a reaction like that at that point. I was like, oh shit, okay, here we go. Like that was kind of the moment. Yeah.
Do y'all remember Michael Hayes' idea as far as the teeter-totter, whatever? You know, it's like, what if you were on this end? You know, Jeff jumps with his ass, you know, he shoot you into the twist of fate, just like that.
I remember when that ignorant ape gave us that idea.
And
He thought it was a cartoon, like he was watching the Tom and Jerry.
I love Tom.
He
and
was
Jerry.
going to do a slingshot. You
Yes.
know, as if have one man jump and the other man catapults. Oh my goodness. That man needs to stop putting all these toxins in his
Is it
body.
possible in the next?
I will say, Michael Hayes, as much as he would come up with some crazy, like physically not possible idea, and I think it's your fault. Because
Right.
you would do this stuff, and he'd go, okay, well, if he can do that, then surely I can drop
Surely,
him from
yeah.
the ceiling with 18 flips and land in a twist of fate.
He was just taking advantage of a man with an affliction.
Oh man, it's funny too, like how you think about the Hardy Boys and like the connection you guys have with the fans, especially obviously with the the younger generation of fans and girls. You guys always got the scream when you tore off the shirts. But it's funny, like when they told you were going to be put with Michael Hayes, and this is even kind of backtracking a little bit, but how it might have been a little bit different if you had to wear the garb that he had suggested for you guys, and then you kind of talked him into going with something a little more updated, a little more hip. Just if you went out with the skin tight jeans and the cowboy boots tucked in, and things might have been a little different.
Way. Yeah.
If I revisit back to my motor vessel, when this man, the Wolf of Beer, as we affectionately call the Beer Wolf, you know, the Wolf of Beer. I swear I have to tell you this. I swear to God, I am not lying to you. At the Hardy compound in the dilapidated city, there is a Wolf of Beer that lives in there. And I swear they may be the same one. I believe his soul split at some point. His pneuma, his essence, is split at some point, and it also occupies another being, because there's another Beowulf in my dilapidated city. But to get back to the story, I was speaking about my mortal vessel. So we meet with this man. He says, I will do an impression of him. I'm sorry, I will come out of this very sophisticated voice from 2000 AD. But he goes, all right, guys, I'm telling you, we got to run. We're going to be just like the Freebirds. You know, everything we do together. Three of us, we ride together. We sleep together. I'm not sleeping with you, Michael. We sleep together. We're going to heal a room, all right? That's what we do. He said, now we got to get some badass outfits because we're going straight to TV. I was thinking we could do some stuff just like the birds. You know, maybe we get some big old cowboy boots, some skin-tight jeans. Maybe they're stretchy, though. You know, get us some big old belt buckles. I know you guys want to get some Confederate. And then I remember Brother Nero said, Beowulf, is it okay if we just maybe update it a little bit? We, do something a little different, modernize it a little bit, something a little bit of a variation from what the Freebirds did. He said, okay, what you think? And that's where the famous story of the Hot Topic came in, where we go in and Brother Nero picked out these kickwear pants, and then there was the tight shirts, and we went to the dressing room and we put them on, and we walked out with them, and we felt okay about ourselves. It was different. People had never worn that before. Maybe it was kind of trendy at the time. And I remember we came out, we walked out with him, and Michael said, guys, I love it. You got my size.
We'll just sew 3 of them together. Don't worry about it.
And then Michael Hayes went in, and he got this outfit, and he pulled on the pants, and he hiked them up, and he came out, and they were right at the top of his abdominal area, the top of his ab cage,
Sternum,
and yes, right, they were flirting with his sternum, and he came out, and he said, "How do I look?" 2 thumbs up.
He had to break out the cane too, right?
Yeah.
He came out with the cane.
Yeah.
Has a cane, and at that point, we still had Gangrel coming out. So picture that. You have Gangrel and Michael Hayes, and then the 4 of us just kind of off to the side watching this, and then there's the story of the Outback Steakhouse in Moon, Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
On the hill, yeah.
Yeah,
We actually recreated it last year on the Edge and Christian show on the network, but that was funny too, where they're just
and it was absolutely exhilarating.
Yeah, a headbutting contest in a parking lot of an Outback Steakhouse after a show in Pittsburgh. There's no way to recreate that.
I think Michael ended up running away.
He was backpedaling.
He's backpedaling at the end.
That Vampire Warrior has got himself ahead.
Oh yeah.
So we're here this week with WrestleMania week, and we're inducting the Dudleys into the Hall of Fame, and I think it needs to be said what they brought to the whole rivalry and where it kind of went from there. Because I have used this analogy a lot, but to me it's the one that, I don't know, it just always jumps into my head. You guys were the Rock and Roll Express, and you guys had that demographic and that reaction, that kind of very few acts over the years have had it. It's one of those intangible, like it's that high-pitched kind of high-energy reaction. We were the Midnights, and out of the 3 teams, the heels, and then you had the Dudleys, and they, to me, always had that kind of that guttural, that the guy that's working in the factory in Pittsburgh, that every man kind of like gut pop. for lack of a better term. And when you put all of those three together, it felt like we hit all of the demographics. And then the mindset of all of us when those guys jumped into the mix and kind of where we took it in terms of, now 3 teams, 6 guys that want to, try and make sure that our match is the only one they remember on the show. What'd you guys think? Because you worked the Dudleys initially first with the tables match and Royal Rumble. What did you guys think when they came over?
Sorry, that table match at MSG triggered me again.
Oh, see?
These big moments, sometimes they suppress my condition. The table match was very special, and the thing that stands out to me about that is our lack of selling compared to the ladder match. And the reason that happened is because we got 5 minutes shaved off right when we walked out through the curtain, and we're like, in this kind of panic. What are we going to do? What are we going to change? And I just remember, I don't know, let's just kind of run through it. Let's do it. I mean, looking back, it was like exciting, as exciting as it could be, but there was a big lack of selling in that table match compared to our ladder match, for sure, just because we were so crushed on time. But once again, it was like a first-time ever match, and it was like a spectacle that WWE fans had never really seen before. And a lot of the diehard wrestling fans in this day and age, they get very frustrated because, like, if they'd followed ECW, they know kind of how wrestling's done there. But there's this huge still percentage of WWE Universe fans that are seeing things like this for the first time. Whether it be a ladder match or table match, or even like once the Woken Universe stuff started, fans who saw the original stuff were like, why aren't they getting into it already? Well, there's a lot of people that have never seen this before, so they're just learning about it right now. We're trying to educate them. But yeah, the Dudleys were a perfect mix in full for both of us, especially because they were like a different size team, a different style team, and they were also very passionate, and they were just like another element that really added to what we were doing, and they were like great dancing partners. And just you guys kind of being associated with the chairs and us with the ladders and these guys with the tables, it just really like all the stars were aligned as far as things go, as far as building that first triple threat ladder match and ultimately the TLC matches.
And let's be honest too, it was always great to have Bubba laying on a table so Jeff could jump on him. That was kind of
Always good.
I have to tell you guys one thing though. You guys got the nice swantons back in the day.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance, talk to Carl Anderson about the swanton. It's not quite as
evolved.
swanny.
yeah.
Now, I'm going to say I got the first world title swanton.
You may have got the
That's
first
right.
crouton.
It might have been the first one.
Right.
but
You just want him to feel it.
he was fired up.
Yeah.
But what added to it is that, and this is way off topic, but Hunter, if you watch it back, he's kind of covering me, but he's totally looking to see if Jeff's coming, and he is ready to get out of Dodge because he ain't taking that. I took it. It was good. It was there. But I was like, okay, I can't breathe. Oh, my God. But it was the first world title one. It's got to be there.
Right, yeah.
It was good. So that might have been the first crouton.
We were with a bunch of fans at an appearance one time, and a fan came up to Carl Anderson and said, man, who's the toughest opponent you ever been with? Worst move, like Brock Lesnar. He hit the Big Show. Jeff Hardy swanton. That is the worst thing ever. I wanted to die. I just wanted it over. He said I took him every night in Europe for 2 weeks. I thought my career was over. We've changed.
The last time I kind of cared about it, I used to control it, but now I really don't. It was in Canada, and like I was with Bubba actually, and I naturally I tried to roll off that ninja kind of roll. Man, my back was messed up for 3 months. I mean, it's like that lower vertebrae or whatever it was. I said, okay, I'm just going to crush people. And Sheamus, he kicked my teeth out. So I said, hey, you're getting it for as long as I can wrestle. You're getting it, yeah. But and then again, it's out of my control now. I protect myself before you. I mean, you'll survive.
Full transparency.
I mean, you'll survive.
You'll be okay.
It'll be all right.
No,
I
you
think.
didn't say okay. You just survive. You'll
survive, yeah.
You might be in a chair of wheels.
Well,
You'll
I
survive.
remember the first time that I thought, oh, man, he's going to hurt himself was in the triple ladder match at WrestleMania 16. And when you hit Bubba with that, you landed right on your tailbone on the aisleway.
Yeah, oh,
and there was
terrible,
so
yeah.
much momentum, and there was so much speed to it, and I just remember seeing it back and thinking, oh my God, like
I was walking around like on my tiptoes. For,
yeah, I was like, is he gonna
smashed
be
the
able to take a
back of
shit?
your-
Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
You were
how-
bruised from like heel to the back of your knees, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it was crazy.
I've never seen anything like that.
That reminds me of the TLC matches. As far as you guys were the chairs, in my opinion. They were the tables naturally, but we were the ladders. Like we're these objects, 6 humans, 3 teams, and like TLC. That's us, man. We started this shit, and here we are. But like, do you remember? God, what WrestleMania was it? Whenever we broke the ladder for the first time.
Was the first? Was it not the first one where we?
Oh, we didn't break the ladder.
no,
was
it was
Benson the first
WrestleMania
one.
23.
Yeah, to where
It was a
we
Money in
couldn't
the
break
Bank.
tables. So okay, can we break a ladder?
Yeah.
That was the
And
first
it was-
ladder
it-
break, I think.
I think it was WrestleMania 23, and man,
Ooh, sternum.
I just remember looking up and going, "Oh man, that's really high." And you're standing there, kind of looking at me, and I'm kind of catching eyes with you. I'm like, "How's this gonna go now that we're here?"
Yeah.
And I've said it, and you couldn't do anything about it. It's just physics.
The impact, dude.
And I remember lying there going, this is the worst pain I've ever
Ever
experienced in my life. I don't know if I'm going to breathe again. Like, this is all going through my mind in like a 15-second, like, okay, what broke? Do I have a pelvis left? Like, what's going on right now? I've never experienced, like, the car wreck that was, but it looked fucking
gosh,
awesome.
Yeah.
Nuts,
So there's
man.
that.
It's funny. 'Cause I have people come up all the time and ask, like, "Oh, do you get scared like when you were going into those matches, knowing what's gonna, what could possibly happen to you?" And I was like, honestly, I don't think about it. Right? I try not to think about what could happen. Just kind of focus on, what you have to do in the match, but don't overthink it because you're working with inanimate objects. That really anything could happen. You just have to be aware, but you can't stop it. And I was like, no, I don't really think about it. After when I watch back, I'm like, oh, that could have been really bad, or that could have been really bad. And when I think more about it, I'm like, well, I know Jeff's not afraid to die. So I've always wondered, like, what was how you felt about it, Matt? Because
I was just going to say, like, I can only imagine what you were thinking ahead of time. I'll be honest, whenever we did the final deletion and we had that ladder set across the ring and he's up in this tree and he really couldn't stand and he's going to jump on me, in my head I was going, this might be it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a good run, and I think that a lot now.
Yeah.
Like I know, I have a lot more in my rearview mirror than I do in the windshield ahead of me. But I go, this could be it. Like there's sometimes there's like I try and be calculate. I try and take very calculated risk if there are risks. And I would rather not take calculated risks. I'd rather be more of an entertainer at this stage of the game. But yeah, like I mean, looking back at times like that, I remember he's always just been kind of like fearless when it comes to that. I think I've always had fear, which has kept me safe in some way, and just trying to be smart. But still, I look back at everything we did, and it's like some of the things we probably should have, thought differently, or maybe execute another way, or maybe it's a risk we shouldn't have taken, whatever it may have been, which we could all look at like the toll this is taking on our bodies. But if we hadn't have done the stuff we did, we wouldn't have became who we were.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like helped carved out our legacy, right?
Well, the thing, agreed, totally. I mean, you can't. It all worked out really good. I mean, you can look at the toll and things like that, but it stands to reason there's going to be something. But we had to do that, and you had Steve Austin, you had The Rock, you had all of these like giant characters. So we had to do something to get noticed and be noticed. But I'll watch the matches back, and I really, really am dumbfounded that we aren't worse off. To be perfectly honest, because you watch them back, man, and it's like
Absolutely.
the margin for error is
Absolutely.
so razor thin, and the fact that we were able to come out of it that night, walking afterward, is kind of crazy when you watch it back.
100% agree.
And I think this is obviously before Jeff's feelings on the Swanton bomb, where he stands with that now. I think that we always had that trust level in each other too, that we were always going to protect the best interest of the other party, right? Like we were always going to do that. And I think that having that trust made us go out there with kind of no fear as we were doing it, because we knew everybody was going to play their part and be, do their best to be where they had to be.
I mean, and that's so important. I mean, that's always been something that these four guys have shared. That trust factor as far as going out and, whatever it may be. I mean, there's times, where we work together and people are like, oh my God, how are they gonna, You know, but it was always we were always safe with each other.
Well,
Always.
yeah,
there was never a point where we
In
weren't.
particular, I remember the leg drop off the top.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
People were like, how did you
Right.
lie there? I was
Right.
like, well, because.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
and that's something we've always shared.
Yeah.
That's never changed. You know, never would. And it's just, it really is. It's just amazing, considering all the risks that we took. That just something didn't go wrong. You know, an accident or whatever. You know, and that everybody is still in one piece and kind of okay.
Kind of more or less okay.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah. The one thing I've never done is Hell in a Cell, you know, and that's my go-to as far as like, what do you want to do before you're done? Okay, Shane McMahon's jumped off it twice, you know. It's okay. Is it even possible to like hit us one time, or are you gonna kill somebody? You know, like if they lay there, if there's padding, whatever, or you miss it, it's pretty obvious. Okay, he's gonna miss it. There's no way he can hit it, but maybe it's possible, maybe it's not. But you know, that's still my go-to as far as like, what do you want to do before you're done? Just get up there and see what it looks like and go for it and move or hit, you know.
I mean, they're strange. It's a fun match, but it, man, that new version. I guess it's not new anymore.
It's
but
huge,
that
too. I mean,
massive. Man, I don't know.
That Elimination Chamber, too. I just watched the pay-per-view. Holy shit, you know, it's massive.
Well, the Elimination Chamber, before they added the size and they put the padding that they have around the sides now, I mean, that thing was
Oh, they do
horrible.
pad the sides now.
Yeah. It looks like it anyway, but before that, man, I mean, the
Yes,
ones
it is.
we all, is it, oh,
Much safer.
man, that thing sucked before. I just remember, I remember we had a match and I came in as champ and you small packaged me in like 4 minutes and I was so relieved. Like, and you eliminated me first out of the match, and I was gone, and then I came back later in that other one. But I was like, man, I don't want to do 2 of these in one night. Like, this is going to be horrible. So it was nice that you hit me with that great Paul Smackage and hooked the legs. It was a tight, small package.
What was it, that live event? Your Achilles heel? Like
Achilles in San Diego.
The simplest move ever. Like, you were
And,
down.
dude,
It's
I will
crazy.
never forget it. So it's an up and over in the corner. It's, I think, opening 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And we
very
would do
early.
this spot where Jeff would do an up and over. I'd feed in for an arm drag. And we'd been working at that point, singles matches for probably like a year.
Yeah.
And then, sure enough, he goes over, I go under, and I just felt like someone threw a baseball bat from the back row. And I dropped, and I looked back, and Jeff looked like a dog who'd heard a dog whistle. Like, kind of like, what is
What's
going on here?
Yeah, what's wrong?
And Charles Robinson was the ref and said, what's going on? I was like, I blew my Achilles. What? And tried to get up, take a twist of fate. That wasn't working, so
She went ankle lock.
That's crazy.
ankle lock. Yeah.
Kept him stationary.
Achilles heel.
What is the worst, as we talked about with all of these matches and all of these risks taken over the years, what's the worst either injury or thing that you guys have felt in the ring?
Whenever my ACL tore all the way through was pretty bad. It was like, just as you said, it felt like someone like sliced you with a hot knife in the knee. It was just, it's almost like a surreal pain. You
Yeah.
know, I'm sure that's how that Achilles heel was. I mean, mine, I think it tore because it bugged me some in the months prior, but whenever it tore all the way through and like literally my leg, I could have it go forward. So not only was I Jimmy-legged with these backwards hips, also my knee could swing all the way, 100 degrees. I did kick myself in the front end of that. And then also when my abdominal tear happened, that was pretty painful too, and like my intestines shot through.
Yeah.
But it's like, God, there hasn't been anything that's been like a terrible injury that I've suffered that's happened from one of like the big spots in a match or whatever. I mean, I'm sure that obviously, adds to the damage on your body, but like there's never been like an injury. It's kind of been all elementary things, but just wear and tear and just getting there and then finally something going.
Yeah.
Mine was rotator cuff. I turned 40 on August 31st, and then September 18th. It'd been bugging me for a while, a couple months, but we had a six-pack challenge, everybody, me and versus Matt, and man, right at Curtis Axel, I threw like this uppercut jab to his ribs and like pop. Man, I said, oh, my shoulders effed up, oh, God. Can you finish? Yeah, I'll finish. But I took the side effect, threw the punch. Man, it was torture. Oh, it was, woo.
Well, and you never really
I've been very lucky until
Yeah.
then. Yeah, I broke my tibia in 2015 before the whole broken, evolution became what it is now. But gosh, I broke my tibia in a 100-foot triple. I didn't make it. Cased the jump. I was laying there. My buddy was filming. He said, "You get up, walk it off." I can't walk it off. Can't walk it off. Can't walk it. Got my boot off, and I tried to lift my leg, and like I could see it like almost coming through the skin. 911. Call Dixie. We were the champions. And I was the Omega champion. It was just terrible.
Call Dixie.
Let's post it. Let's be real and tell people what's going on. My current activities are just life is too beautiful.
Well, and here's like 40's a thing. Like people talk about it, and you try to say, "Oh, well, age is only a number and everything." But I really, if I had been wrestling when I was 40, I don't think I would have been wrestling by the time I was 40, because I don't think my body still would have agreed. We're shutting this down.
It's all uphill from here, brother.
It's still crazy for me, like even to hear you say that you're 40, because like when you were the youngest guy on the roster, legit.
Oh,
when we
yes.
started.
And out of the four of us, if we were all the
Yeah.
young guys, you were always the youngest
yeah.
because you're a couple years younger, right?
I'm the
And-
baby of the group.
Yeah. So it's always like, oh well, yeah, Jeff's got this. He's Gumby. You know,
He's
he's-
an extraterrestrial.
yeah.
Yeah, he's not up this plane.
Yeah. If we were the new kids on the block, you'd be Joey.
Hanging tough.
New Kids on the Block.
Yeah, there's somebody else in this room that gets that reference. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you know what else I didn't realize? We talked about all being fathers. Matt, you and I were talking yesterday, and how I had said that if we were going to have a boy, he was going to be, either Wolfgang Everest or Everest Wolfgang.
Mm-hmm.
And your second son's name is Wolfgang. Yeah. And we, Jeff, both have daughters named Ruby.
Yeah.
And my daughter, Ruby's middle name is Ever, which would have been
Right.
your daughter's name if you had a daughter.
Yeah, my wife was blown away by that.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
wow.
what?
That can't be real.
Yeah, it's really odd. Like, it's strange. Like, I was talking to Jeff about that last night. I love all the names and how different those names are for us all to kind of fall on the same page with that. It's pretty surreal.
Well, also the fact that the name Ruby has significance to both of you for different reasons, right? Like, I mean, it's a name, a family name, an important name in both your families, which is pretty cool too.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah. Dads, look at us.
yeah, the dad talk started.
We've come a long ways, guys.
Could we get King Maxwell down here?
Maybe it's the best time of the day to catch him.
Yeah.
All hail King Maxwell!
Oh, shall yeah.
Here he is. He's back.
You do know King Maxwell is the greatest soul ever known to mankind.
What caused that transition? What did we talk about that
I
caused?
brought up Maxwell.
King Maxwell. Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought there was.
He's the greatest soul known to mankind.
How old is
He
he?
is older than I. He was generated. That's what is so funny, Brother Nero.
Nothing.
He was generated in 6 BC.
Before Christ.
Around the same time.
I seriously feel like Martin Luther King. I was watching a documentary last night. Naturally, 50 years.
I actually ran into a soul yesterday on the Bourbon Street, on the street of Bourbon. There was Martin Luther King.
Modern day Jesus Christ.
No, Martin Luther King.
Jesus Christ Superstar, John Legend.
Martin Luther King. It was the soul of Martin Luther King in his new vessel. I ran into him yesterday. My soul communicated with his soul. My soul, Zenith.
But yet you speak in metaphors.
That's not a metaphor. That's very basic English. I'm not even speaking the lexicon of 3000 AD.
Oh my God! This is by far, I think, the most entertaining podcast we've done thus far.
I would say.
I don't even know what to say after that. Martin Luther King is running into the Woken vessel.
He is here.
that correct?
He's in another vessel. I will explain very simply. There's an essence within each one of us, and when this vessel that you all are housed in right now, that your essence dwells within, whenever it leaves this plane, as people say, die or decease, then your essence, your soul, your pneuma will go into another vessel, and it will continue. It will go on. Death is not the end, my friend. Your essence continues.
I remember always saying that if I could jump into somebody else's brain for a day, I wanted it to be Jeff's. Do you remember me saying that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
I was like, I want to walk around in Jeff's brain for a day.
Just to see.
Yeah, yeah.
I might have to do. I have a renowned scientist. You know, the renowned scientist that I have spoke so highly of. I would introduce him. I would bring him here, but the government is looking for him. You know, he is voting me. He is the one that helped make Vanguard 1 sentient. He is the one that developed the hologram special. He's developing a myriad of amazing magical things.
Does he work for the CDC?
No. The reason, if you ever see him on TV, his voice will be scrambled, his face will be blacked out, because if they could track him down, especially the foreign governments, they would come find this man and take him from the Hardy compound. But he is working on a device where your essences can enter another vessel momentarily. So if I get that device done in time, you know, if your vessels are still in this plane, then maybe we could do that. I could allow your vessel to go into his plane. You guys could switch. You guys could switch vessels for a day.
Man, I'm just gonna walk around throwing swantons all over
That's
everybody.
right, yeah.
Real stiff ones. Too.
Oh yeah, real stiff ones.
Take this one.
Yeah.
Take this.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Well, Webster wrote the dictionary, right?
No, he did not write it. He only published it. You're trying to throw me off. I know all my history.
The words, the words. Your definitions are.
So, we could talk about the TLC's ladder matches, all of our history all day long, but where do you see everything going forward? You know, in terms of your career, do you have, like, I always had a number. I always told myself by 40 I was going to be done, because at 17, 40 seemed prehistoric at that point. You know,
Ancient.
when you're 17-year-old kid.
Very true.
But where do you see it? Like, where do you see taking it? You said Hell in a Cell is something you still want to do. What, out of all the things you've done, what is there still on a checklist past Hell in a Cell, and for you, Woken, that you still want to accomplish? Like, what is there left to do?
Personally, speaking from my essence, I mean, I would say being back here right now, there's not really like one goal. I am really in the midst of a great war. And the great war at its essence is light versus dark, and I represent light. And I want to illuminate this plane, the post-Pangea plane, you know, with as much light as possible. And that is why I'm back here doing this. And if I can find enjoyment while fighting, as long as I don't, you know, contract a spot monkey addiction, you know, I will be fine. You know, I do it with hands and feet. You know, hand-to-hand combat. That's what this is about. At its core, at its nucleus. So that is what I am looking for. As far as goals, there's not one. Only to illuminate the world and make this world a better place. Although, if I do get a chance, there are a lot of people that are on the directory of deletion. You know. And one is that Michael Cole, because he has committed sacrilege, blasphemy. And I am arranging very soon Senior Benjamin to pick him up and bring him to the Hardy compound. Oh, and it is going to be an orgasmic trip.
Just don't highlight his hair like you used to. Man. Like a 13-year-old girl, that would be great.
I won't even let him go into the lake because I'm afraid he might come out like that.
So Michael Cole.
I can admit it now, but like when Matt versus Bray, the Ultimate Deletion, I was so jealous that night. It was super cold. They were being super tough, and they were filming this stuff. And I was like, oh man, I wish I was involved. But now that I can be, and I will, I'm trying to figure out, like, you know, the in between, light and dark. Where am I in the middle of all of this? You know, I think I'm the fine line between real and fake, and I'm just trying to figure that out as far as moving forward. Not just jumping off Hell in the Cell, but like being a character and being creative, a different form of extreme. Like at the Hardy compound, a lot of, you know, cool shit can happen, and if they let us go, man, it's limitless. So I'm just looking forward to like moving forward and being very creative and not killing myself, you know, all the time as far as high spots.
Yeah. Well,
And shows, movies, and, you know, actor. I mean, gosh, I've always loved, you know, video and.
Yeah, no, and that's something I always like respected about you too, that you weren't afraid to express yourself through, like, you just didn't define yourself as just a wrestler, and you know, I think you're the definition of a free spirit, right? Like, just
for sure,
you
yeah.
have to have an artistic outlet more than wrestling. need multiple ones just because
Yep.
that's the type of person you are. Like you I don't want to say that you need to get away from wrestling, but you need to have art. You need to have music. You
I
need
have to
even
have it
even
to
when you
survive, for sure.
ride your motorcycle, that's a form of
Yep.
art to you. When you're out there building, like you out there and you'll build. People don't. I don't know if they know how much they know about this, but you'll go out there and you'll build tracks and dirt tracks for your motor. That's art to you. Like you need that kind of stuff. And I just always appreciated how the way that you went about that.
Oh yeah, it is, man. Like I could build a motocross track every day. I love running heavy equipment, machines, and but then wrestling is my livelihood. You know, it's what pays the bills. And but I've been doing a lot of shows now musically and trying to sing. You know, trying to sing because I suck and I'm pretty bad, but not really. I mean, I'm doing really good. Like the last acoustic show we did was so. Oh, it was so awesome, and that vibe as far as like becoming one with the song, just like a match, you know, like it's a part of you, you know, like, and you've created, especially original music, when you write your own song, then you perform it, and other people kind of like it. It's so cool, man.
I've always said, you know, the only thing that comes close to or capturing kind of what it is that as wrestlers we would do in terms of reaction or people knowing your theme music and exploding and giving you all that energy or reacting to setting up for a finishing move, things like that. To me, what would be maybe more rewarding, but is going to a show and as a songwriter hearing an entire stadium sing the words that you put together, sung back to you, and because it made an emotional attachment for those people, they've experienced something to that music, and it means something to them.
That's awesome.
That's why I love music, and I love going to concerts. You know, I love going to see Pearl Jam at Wrigley Field and hearing the entire baseball field just sing back Black to them. You know, it's incredible.
I watched some Perfect Circle tour, some live like shows they did, and like Maynard, you know, he'd be like off to the side like singing, and like the guitarist was up front. It was just so weird and different, but like you see a fan like crying because I mean it means so much to them, you know, just the music. And it's so strange and weird and otherworldly, but gosh, man, I can only imagine what that would be like to have 13,000 people singing your song. You know, it's insane.
I guess too, whenever you say, what would you like going forward? I would like, obviously, to have more deletions at the Hardy compound. And if I'm not mistaken, before we went on air here on broadcast, I feel like you two said you guys would at some point like to come out to the Hardy compound. And,
I would love a
watch one
tour.
of these deletions.
I would love a tour
Is
of
that
the
correct?
compound. Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Vanguard 1, contact Senor Benjamin immediately, post haste. Have him build 2 thrones, one for the superstar that is rated R, and the other for, well, I don't want to say your other name, Christian, just because the other one might be dirty. And I do not use any vulgar but toxins in my body. So do that immediately, okay? Thank you, Vanguard 1. Oh, yes, I love you too, my friend. Adios. Okay, it is done. I will have you seats, and we will bring popcorn.
Perfect. For the next deletion, I feel like we have to be there.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
Do some stand-up comedy in the woods.
Yeah.
Of course.
Why not? Tell a good joke.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's it, guys.
Yeah. I think obviously we could sit here and we could talk for hours, and I think at some point we all will jump back on here again because I think some people are like, oh man, I would like to hear more about this or that. But I mean, it's just
we
four guys that have been in
scratched
room.
the surface.
Yeah, we scratched the surface of what we can really talk about, and we definitely will.
But we
do this
just
again,
got the
yeah.
invite
Yeah.
to the next Ultimate Deletion,
Yeah.
so I don't see us going any higher than that right now.
Yeah.
To be perfectly
No, I don't
honest.
think so.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
There is one last thing I do want to say, which could be very exciting. So I also have my renowned scientist. Vanguard 1 has the capability to do teleportation, but he's also working on time travel. If time travel is ever discovered, maybe we can go back in time and have a match.
Oh, you can
could.
reverse my stenosis.
Yeah.
Of course.
Maybe you could develop a new spine for him and do like a transplant.
Yeah, we're working with robotics.
Reverse stenosis. Is that? No,
Yes.
that wasn't very good.
No, that's not bad. That's not bad. Yes, you're ready to speak, yes.
And here in WWE,
You
man,
sound like you might have a slight condition.
condition. I watched some old footage of me and CM Punk, and when I left in '09, but like I lost the match, ladder match, or whatever, under the ladder, like beat up and hurt. Lights go off. I get out, go under the ring. Lights come on. Taker's there. It was this big comeback. we can. I have the biggest idea ever, and I think it's going to happen here in WWE. And I want to talk about it now. I'm giving no secrets away, and you know what it is. But man, if that can happen,
All right.
portals are possible.
Whoa. Whoa. You heard it here first.
Yeah,
Well, you didn't.
Yeah.
But you heard a tease
You did
for
what
it.
you gotta do.
Yeah. You get a little taste, a little
I
morsel.
mean, that's one thing that I'm trying to educate Nick Mahan on is that the woken broken universe, the Hardy compound, it is very comparable to something like a Marvel universe or a DC universe. It's where magical things happen, and it's a totally new canvas for people to paint their masterpiece on.
Well, this was a magical episode of Edge and Christian's or ENC's Pot of Awesomeness. So magical, I almost forgot the name. But we should probably jump off on that. I would.
We
think,
just
but-
painted a masterpiece here,
Yeah,
is
we
what
did.
you're saying.
Yeah.
An audio masterpiece. Velvety words falling out of our faces for 2 hours.
I almost cried 3
An
times.
au revoir.
And what?
An au revoir.
Au revoir.
Yes.
That's my version of French.
Oh, beautiful.
Ich bin gut. No, that's German.
Well,
Denise is from Germany. My CTE is kicking in. Sorry.
Oh, man. Anyway, we should probably, these fucking marks that are listening to this podcast, if they'll definitely want to hear some more of this stuff. So we'll definitely hook them up again. Do you have anything to say to them, Woken Matt?
Oh, what, these obsolete mules?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. I can't believe the legend, our father disrespect your wife. He said, that's a hot beach.
Bro,
Taken back by that.
Bro, let's get Vince Russo's opinion. Nobody cares.
that was so random.
Thanks to him, he split it for me.
Okay, I'm sweating now. Until next week, enjoy WrestleMania, everybody. Man, this has been the Hardys,
Thanks,
the Hards,
Yeah.
the Whackers, ENC.
Here we go.
So how about that?
Yeah, I mean, awesome talk. Love those guys. Seriously, it's so crazy to think how far we've come. Like meeting those guys at the WWE training camps.
Easy for you to say.
Man, I'm just but meeting those guys in Stanford years ago when we were just kids, and
Yeah.
becoming as close as we were, and all the experiences that we've gone through in wrestling and in life and all those sorts of things. It's really glad for where they're at now in their lives. And all
All
that stuff, so-
fathers,
Yep.
all they're still doing their thing.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, pretty crazy when you think back, all those years back. Even just if you want to think back to Cleveland and '99 and No Mercy and like you said,
Yeah.
where we all are. It's crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I say.
Anyways, it was a little rushed here today on the ENC's Pot of Awesomeness, but we'll see some fans at WrestleCon this weekend, this Saturday, and we'll be back to normal next week. Well, somewhat normal. As normal as we can be. on
It's
this
never
pod.
going to be normal.
Yeah,
Let's face
so-
it. That's all you got.
That's all I got. We gotta
Enjoy
go
WrestleMania. You quit flapping your gums and let
fucking
me
rake
finish
your
this,
eyes and
man.
I'll kick your
You know
spleen out
what?
of your asshole.
I'm gonna kick your spindly little wheels out, your little peg legs there, and then I'm gonna use them to smack your
I'll
ass
fucking squish your bug eyes with this fucking paper clip.
with a paper clip.
Yeah,
A big paper clip.
it's pretty big.
All right.
All right.
Enjoy WrestleMania, everybody. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge.
Here we go.
Switch it up.
Little spin on it.